Dickau for the Bulldog Broadcast on the Field of 68 Network. Quick update on the GU program and where the season is heading and where it lies is, you've had a chance to watch the first three games, I'm sure, just as I have. It's been pretty impressive with Jalen Suggs, with Corey Kispert, Drew Timme, Joel Ayayi, what they've been able to do and gel in such a short amount of time, and then go out and compete at a high level against three really good teams. I mean, they took it to Kansas, and Kansas, I think, is going to end up being a pretty darn good team. Auburn, obviously, they've got great length. They've got athleticism. Bruce Pearl plays a style that is very hard to prepare for on short prep because they get after you defensively. And then West Virginia, that win is actually going to end up looking a lot better towards the end of the year, I think, in the NCAA tournament selection committee's eyes than it does at the current moment in time, because they're a really good basketball team that I think will continue to improve. After those three games, obviously everybody's really looking forward to that Baylor game, as was I, and then the disappointment of, the cancellation of that game. I don't have too much insider privy information to know exactly what the determining factors were, other than I do know that players in the program were disappointed. They wanted to play, but they understood that's kind of the decision that was made in Indianapolis, and they had to abide by it. I think it was a disappointing day for college basketball, because when you looked at it, you had number one versus number two flip-flopped in both polls, either way you look at it. So it was exciting. I believe it was only the third time that when the polls were flip-flopped, it would be 1 against 1. And Baylor would have been a tremendous barometer for Gonzaga's young guards, in particular Jalen Suggs. How would he have been able to handle Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, Flagler? How would he have handled their pressure? Because Baylor might have the best defensive backcourt in the country. I've heard, and I believe it, that they are going to try to reschedule it. And I fingers crossed that it comes through and it works, because I think that'd be an important game for Gonzaga and for college basketball. Gonzaga does have another chance, it looks like, where they might be able to have a 1 versus 2 matchup coming up this weekend with Iowa. Iowa's currently ranked 3. They might have the best player in the country in Luke Garza, who's a 7-foot monster who can do it all on the court. Can score on the low block with either hand. He can knock down threes. I think he had 6 the other night. And he can really make plays from the high post for others. So that's going to be a tremendous challenge for Drew Timme. It'll be interesting to see if when he's not on him, do they go with Ballo for stretches? Does Pavel get a chance, because they might need another big body? Do they try to put some length and athleticism and quickness in Anton Watson on him? That'll be something to watch. But I think the other thing to watch will be that gym in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is going to bring back. It's going to surprise some people nationally who haven't seen that gym before. The Sanford Pentagon is a phenomenal facility. It's a gym that I've had a chance to go to a couple times. Each time I walk away blown away by how cool and unique of a gym it is. You talk about, Hoosiers, you kind of get that sense, that vibe, that Midwest feel of a gym there. I've never been to Butler in Hinkle Fieldhouse, but, Conseco, where the Pacers play in Indiana, they tried to tie some things in there, but that's obviously a much bigger facility. But I think anybody who goes to that game in the Gonzaga traveling party is going to come away really impressed with that facility. It's great. And then you look at the frustration and the disappointment of having to shut the program down for a few days. And what people have to understand is the program wasn't shut down. Competitions were shut down. So if you read the fine line, or if you read through closely in the statement that was put out by Gonzaga, certain guys are still getting in the gym. They're still getting shots up. They're working out. But competitions, and I believe some guys aren't able to go through all the practices due to quarantine and the guidelines and restrictions that, quite frankly, are hard to keep up with, because they seem to be changing fairly recently. But when you look at what's upcoming, I know Gonzaga had those games that were canceled. They are going to try to reschedule a few of those games. When in their schedule, not quite sure. But I know they're working to do that. With what opponents, it's hard to say. But I don't think when you look at, a Tarleton State who was on the schedule who got canceled, that's going to be hard to reschedule. Seeing, that they're down in Texas, that would be a hard travel. I would imagine it would be a West Coaster or a Pacific Northwest team that fills those gaps in the schedule. I'm looking forward to just Gonzaga basketball getting back going. It'd be the one nice thing, the silver lining, I guess, though, is Jalen Suggs has a chance to get that ankle, which scared quite a few people here in Spokane, back healthy and right. So it'll be unique and interesting to see how this schedule gets done again. And looking forward to, obviously, the Iowa game later this week. The one thing that I took out of some of the recent comments from Coach Few in his sit-down interviews with Greg Heister on his local show was, Coach Few had some really good comments about, they understood and they believed and they knew, as most college coaches in the industry this year knew, that there was going to be some, and Coach Few used the words choppy and disjointed. And I thought that was a tremendous way to describe how the season was going to go. And all of a sudden you do hit that choppy stretch and people are kind of up in arms and, hey, what's going on? What's happening? You knew it was coming. It's here, where you've got to do some rescheduling, reorganizing, and just kind of go with the punches of what's going to happen in athletics this year. We're there. They're getting through it. They're following all guidelines and protocols, and I trust Coach Few, Mike Roth, and everybody at Gonzaga will be doing exactly what they say and following those protocols to get through it so that they can continue to play the games in the proper manner. And I thought that was just a really good way for the season to be described. So looking forward to Gonzaga basketball being back this Saturday against Iowa in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, at the Sanford Pentagon on CBS for the Field of 68 Network. I'm Dan Dickau. This has been the Bulldog Broadcast Update. Another episode of the Bulldog Broadcast with myself, Dan Dickau. We bring you Gonzaga-centered conversations with former players or coaches to talk about memories, experiences, thoughts, disappointments, frustrations. Today's is a awesome guest, somebody who was one of the all-time great point guards at Guard U, all-time leader in assists, currently playing in Poland, Josh Perkins. Josh, a little bit of a long intro, but the biggest thing for me when I say that is all-time assist leader at Gonzaga. And there's been a tremendous amount of good point guards that have come through that program. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot, it means like the hard work, paid off, the late night, film studies, with coaches, with my teammates. It just means that, I was attentive, I paid attention and really took the most, from you guys, honestly, picking you guys' brains, the guys that were there before me, and put it to the, to the test. So I'm glad, my name is up there, but like I always say, I wouldn't be there, without you guys and, the supporting cast I had. And I was lucky. I was super fortunate.
Well, Matt Santangelo is the guy that you broke his record. But Matt was on this Bulldog broadcast a couple weeks back. And we talked about, the first time each of us got a chance to talk to essentially the godfather of Gonzaga basketball, John Stockton. And the first experience meeting with him, playing pickup maybe when Matt and I were still obviously during our days. What was the experience the first time you talked with John, and was there a big lesson that jumped out from him when you got a chance to really talk about the game of basketball with him?
It was big time. Walking in, I think it was at the warehouse the summer before my freshman year, honestly. And we were just playing pickup in there, with a couple of guys, David and obviously, Big J was there. And I think he fouled somebody super duper hard. I'm like, man, how is this guy so strong still? You know what I mean? So just being there, in his presence, I was kind of in awe, honestly. To be the all-time assist leader, all-time records that I honestly don't think will ever be broke. So just being fortunate to be in the same gym as the guy like that it was big time.
Yeah, everybody's got an awesome John Stockton story who's been around the program, and I can attest to those hard fouls. Even to this day, he still plays in his private runs. I've been there a few times recently, and if he's put in a bad spot defensively, he'll crack you. If he's going to set a screen, he'll crack you. That's for sure.
High level IQ, man. Smart guy. No easy buckets. I know how the old school guys think.
Absolutely. When you committed to Gonzaga, signed with Gonzaga, and then ultimately arrived on campus, I believe at the time you were the highest rated recruit in Gonzaga history. What was your recruitment like? And what was it about Gonzaga that made you say, hey, I'm coming to Spokane?
Crazy story, actually. I think like the summer of my junior years when I took off a little bit, my name, started resonating, around the basketball world. And I tweeted, I'm committing on my birthday, just as a little funny joke, you know what I'm saying? And it blew up. So I'm like, oh, wow. Like, okay, I'm a man of my word. So no, I'm stuck to it now, I wasn't really a big fan of the recruiting process. I think I caught on early that, a lot of the guys, they tell you what you want to hear, but it's not really, so much the truth, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be in a position where I could trust, the coach on and off the court, because basketball is super important, but, I'm a human being, who goes through things. And I wanted a backbone to lean on, a human being, a guy to look up to and somebody who could, get me through my tough times if need be, So I said, if the head coach, isn't at my last AAU tournament, then I can't take you seriously. You know what I mean? And Coach Few was at all my games, you know what I'm saying? And the conversations we had and with all the coaches, Donnie D, B Mike, Tommy, Few, all of them. And then my visit with Gary Bell, Angel, and it was during the summer. I came during the summer when nobody was there, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to meet the guys and be around the basketball part of meet these guys as people. And I fell in love with it. Right then I felt like it was home. And someplace I could always call home and brothers that I could actually, relate to rather than just, come for my own personal glory. So it was bigger than basketball to me.
You mentioned some really high-level assistant coaches. Donnie Daniels now back at one of his previous stops as director of ops at Utah. Yep. But Tommy Lloyd, Brian Michelson, a couple of very high IQ basketball guys that if they really wanted to be head coaches at some other place, they could be. You talked about kind of the loyalty of the program, being around high character. Do you find yourself when you are done playing wanting to get into the coaching realm?
Yeah. That stuff comes with a lot of patience though. And a lot of patience I don't really have right now, so, but obviously just being able to give back, to kids, the next generation, they're the future. And I feel like those guys are, prime time examples of people who want to motivate, the youth, put their best foot forward. So like you said, man, them guys could be coaching anywhere, but they, they choose to stick around the program, because they, they support a cause, and, I respect them. Greatly for that.
You're currently playing your first season professionally in Europe. Last year, you were in the G League. How has the transition to living in Europe been, and where exactly are you in Poland right now?
I'm in a small city called Gliwice. Gliwice, I got to ask Shimmick how you, formally pronounce that. But small city. But, unfortunately, the world is weird right now. We're going through some tough times. So, I'm homebound, majority of it. I'm alone, so, I get a lot of time to reflect. So I haven't really got the full, scope, the full grand scheme of, Europe. I haven't got to travel. I haven't really got to see a lot of places. But like I said, just being, by myself a lot and playing basketball, I get to, think to myself, and self-reflect about, a lot of different things that I haven't thought about before. So, I'm thankful for the opportunity, and it's definitely different than the G League. But, Gonzaga's style of play and what they do is similar to the European style. So, I thank God for the 5 years I had there to prep me for this year.
Yeah, their style on the court is very similar to what you're going to see in Europe. Has Big Shem helped with your transition at all? I know, unfortunately, he had a little knee surgery a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be recording another episode of this with him and Rem together in a few days, which will be interesting. But has Shem helped you out at all?
Yeah, he has, man. Thankfully, I caught on some words with Shem. So I knew a couple. I knew a couple Polish words before I got out here, but my phone doesn't work without Wi-Fi. So I have to, FaceTime Shem and be like, hey, man, call Uber Eats for me and check on my food. So Shem's been helping me through that. Thankfully, we got to see. We played his team, the team he was on, in a scrimmage, and we played him in the regular season. So got to see Shem, in Poland. Successful knee surgery. I'm obviously sad to hear my brother, go through another trial, but he's been big time in the transition. He's helped me out, and at the end of the day, man, he's ordering me sushi, so he's definitely getting my tummy full. So I got to thank him for that.
How is the sushi in Poland? Because I wouldn't think of sushi as being a staple of a diet in Poland, but how is it?
I can't complain, man. Sushi's in my diet wherever I'm at, so it's really good, man. I was surprised, actually. It gets the job done, for sure.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. I don't think Big Shem would be adding that to his diet, from what I've heard at least. But you had 5 years at Gonzaga. You went through a redshirt year, similar as I did, as a lot of other guys have had success, and they really had growth during that redshirt year. You, unfortunately, were kind of pressed into that redshirt because I believe it was your second or third game as a freshman. You broke your jaw in Madison Square Garden. And so you were out for an extended period of time. What did you learn about yourself and your game, and what did you improve upon most in that redshirt year?
Man, it was honestly going back to what you asked me earlier. What made Gonzaga stand out? It was Kev Pengos, and I wanted to come in my freshman year and learn from a guy who had it figured out, and there was no other role model that in college basketball at the time that I could have chose. So. Coming in, I was looking forward to, being his backup, learning from him, and then, taking over the reins. So when that injury happened, man, it really broke me. I was like one of the first times I really hit true adversity, as an athlete. And what I learned about myself was, I'm resilient. You know what I'm saying? You could close my mouth with some wires, but you'll never stop me from talking. I realized that. The guys, but I'm just thankful, man. I had that group of guys around me at the time. Like I said, I was in a dark place. The game was taken away from me. I was playing well as a freshman. I felt like I could have helped that team that year, especially on that big run that we made. But those guys in the locker room, those are my brothers, man. They lifted me up. Every day was another experience, another opportunity for me to be myself, and they accepted me, hurt or not, and I'll forever remember that. And I'm glad, in a way, I'm kind of glad it happened. I got to learn from Kev, from the sideline, and not, get a year taken away, I guess you could say, so I'm thankful that it happened, but not thankful it happened the way it did happen, if that makes sense.
No, makes complete sense. Yeah, I mean, for me, with my redshirt year coming over from University of Washington, I had to sit out, but I was also coming off of surgery as well. So it allowed me, probably, I'm guessing, similar to you, in that once you were back healthy, you had a chance to attack your workouts in a way that you were working on yourself as opposed to preparing for the next upcoming opponent. And that is always big, I think, personally, for a growth year for guys. What do you think?
Oh, man, tremendously. And especially, in my situation, I had Travis Knight, a guy who's probably the best strength coach there is. But not only for, the physicality, for the mental part of the game and mental part of life, So while I couldn't really necessarily run and whatnot, I was in the weight room with Trav, every day at 7 a.m., working on my body, getting my body ready for the college game. And I remember, conversations I had with Trav, mentally, he kind of got me ready, for the upcoming years. And it just progressed year after year after year. But I kind of feel like I was, Trav's guinea pig that year. And from there, it took off. But, yeah, so, I mean, it was, man, the redshirt years at GU are no joke, man. Every guy that you've asked the redshirt, on the road, you're working out. Every day you're working out, you know what I'm saying? So if you put the time in, you really want to, it shows. It shows on the court. And ask Kels. After his redshirt year, you got drafted. So if you take the time and you really want it, that redshirt year benefits you, big time.
Yeah, it's been amazing that those redshirt years have worked out so well for GU because it comes down to the structure that they put around and the positive energy that they continue to instill and keeping those red shirts a part of what's going on. Too many times when I've been around in my broadcasting, you'll see a red shirt and they're kind of off to their own, doing their own thing. Whereas opposed to if you go to a Gonzaga practice or you're around pregame, that's not the case. The red shirts are right there in the mix, doing everything as if they're preparing to play a game. And they're not kind of quote unquote a second citizen at all.
Not at all. And they call them the Red Squad. And the Red Squad, them guys got us ready, for upcoming matches that we had. So, yeah, it's definitely, I feel that. And especially with me being hurt, it's the same thing. I was hurt. I could have easily been cast aside. And at GU, it's a family. They accepted me because I wasn't playing. So, yeah, that redshirt year was big time, man. Big time.
So we mentioned you're the all-time assist leader at Gonzaga. You're also one of the most all-time winningest players, not in Gonzaga history, but I'm pretty darn sure your all-time NCAA winning numbers are up there based on the teams that you played for. When you arrived at GU, what was Coach Few's message to you in what he wanted from a point guard? Because when you look at the point guards that have come through Gonzaga, there's been some good ones, but they're different. I mean, you and I had different styles of games. Santangelo was different. Pargo was different. Nigel was different than you, but you guys meshed together really well. What was Coach Few's message for you on what he wanted as his point guard?
I give a lot of credit to Coach Few and the entire coaching staff, though. They recruit, high character guys who are willing to buy in. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see too many guys come through who are, are selfish. It's about the team. You know what I mean? And I got that message from the get-go. So to me, it was when Coach Few instilled to me was no matter what, you got to win the game. You know what I'm saying? You got to sacrifice your game. You got to sacrifice something for the team for a greater good. And, I bought in that from day one and winning. Just win at all costs. And like you said, I think my track record speaks for that.
When I was calling a lot of your games as a broadcaster, I tried to be kind of down the middle, point out strengths in a guy's game at Gonzaga as well as a couple weaknesses here and there. I always felt, and I said this on air a number of times, I felt you needed to shoot the ball more. Was that something that you ever thought to yourself, man, I need to shoot a little bit more? Or were you so ingrained in being a great teammate and getting everybody involved that your shooting ability kind of moved to the back burner for you?
For me, I was so mentally invested, in the game that I would think about things too much. I think it'd be what guy needs confidence right now, because I never really, I knew that if I shot, it'd probably go in. That's how I thought. So it was like, what guy needed confidence? What guy's getting the right shot at what time? Who's hot? Who's not? You know what I'm saying? Just little stuff like that. Like I always thought about, but I thought to myself all the time, like, I could shoot if I really wanted to, you know what I mean? And I did shoot in the games I had to. I think my junior year, I had probably 20 the first 5-6 games of the season, if not more, you know what I'm saying? So, I shot the ball when I had to, but like I said, man, it was do whatever you can for the team to win. And it definitely, limited me, not being as aggressive as I wanted to be, but it wasn't about me, you know what I mean? And if I can pass up a good shot to get a great shot, I'll do that every single time.
Well, you had such a great perspective and approach to being a great teammate and being a point guard, putting your team in the best position to win. You were in an interesting scenario where Nigel Williams-Goss transfers over from UW, and as you've been probably well aware of, or a lot of the Gonzaga's best teams have always had 2 point guards on the floor. They 2 ball handlers, 2 shooters, 2 decision makers. How easy was it for you to allow Nigel to come in and just be a part of the group? Because a lot of guys would have been like, hey, he plays my position. I don't know how this is going to work, but I commend you because I thought it was a phenomenal job by you of welcoming Nigel in and just working so well together.
The cool thing about it was Coach Few actually came up to me. He was like, "How do you feel about this?" Before it happened, and I'm like, "Hey, like, man, bring them." Like you said, man, the successful teams who win the tournament, they usually have two PGs, two primary ball handlers who can, break down the defense. So when I heard Nigel his name come up, I was like, man, for sure, because obviously I knew Nigel from being a McDonald's All-American and being, a highly touted, high school player doing his thing at UW. I was like, man, we need that guy. As a team, that we need that guy. It's not like I always say, it wasn't really about me at the time. And I'm such a confident dude that I didn't really care who was there. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like threatened or anything that he would take my minutes or take my spot. So if it makes the team better, bring him. And it made me better. Us practicing, playing one-on-one against each other, like we made each other better. And I think if you ask him, he'd say the same thing.
Well, you guys made a heck of a backcourt. To this day, it's the only GU team to play in a Final Four, playing a title game. Many of us felt that you guys should have won the title if the official on the baseline would have been actually looking where Kennedy Meek's hand was. You guys are probably national champions. What's the biggest takeaway that you remember from the Final Four?
Honestly, man, so much happened in that weekend that, we got to meet, Kobe, rest in peace to one of the greatest. That was something I'll never forget. Getting some shoes from him, just him walking in the room, seeing the guys' reaction, that was big time. You guys coming in, talking to us. Kobe and then all the OGs came in. And it was like, man, this is crazy. Everybody's supporting us. You know what I'm saying? Not even Nike supporting us, and our family, our GU family's here to support us too. So it was all that, and then just being there with guys you really care about. You know what I'm saying? And living, laughing, and loving with them dudes made it that much more special that we got to accomplish something like that.
Have you had a chance to see this year's GU team at all on live stream, online, or anything? Obviously,
I watched
games in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I watched them. Man, that's a really good team they got. That's a really good team they got. They got every position, I feel like. They got some athletic guards, they got some shooters. Corey's obviously, grown. He's the leader on the team now. He's super aggressive. Corey looks, really good out there. Obviously, Jalen Suggs is big time. Drew Timme. They got the full team. They got every piece, that makes a team. So now I'm looking forward to, keeping tabs on them. And I think, if they mesh, they listen to the coaches and they really want it, they might be able to get it done. And like you guys supported us, we support them,
I've talked to a number of former players that feel the same way. They feel that this could be the year. And, all of us wish that we were part of that group, just like I wish. I wish I was a part of the group that got to the Final Four. But once we couldn't and you guys did, I was pulling for you guys as happy as could be. And now I know your group that couldn't quite get it done or hoping this current group can get it done, get back to the Final Four and win a title. Couple quick hitting questions before I let you go, Josh. Former player from Gonzaga that you wish you could have been a teammate with?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. There's so many names that just popped in my head. But if I had to pick one, I don't know if I could pick one, to be honest. But obviously there's you, there's Ronnie Turioff, there's Casey Calvary, there's Matt Santangelo, there's Big J, Derek Ravio, what I'm saying, Pargo. The list goes on and on, man. Sammy D, Kells, obviously. I could keep every player, but from before. Everybody adds something to the game that that I would love to play with and love to be a part of. So I don't think I could pick one person for real.
I love that answer because I think it speaks to the type of character that Coach Few has consistently had on the roster. Like, you could look at guys in my era and then a few years behind me, like a Pargo, or go a few years before you with Kelly Olynyk and some of those guys. The character and the love of the game just kind of meshed together. So that's a great answer by you. Now, this is probably going to be similar to the previous question with your answer, but I got to ask it. Current player on the Zags team right now that you wish you could have added to your Final Four team that maybe would have put you over the hump?
Can we just substitute the referees, the three referees we had?
That works for me.
I think, man, if we just had, a different set of refs or a different, I don't know, man, a different Josh in the second half, maybe, and then we get the job done. A different pair of shoes for Nigel, so I roll his ankle in the last couple of minutes. I don't know if I could just pick one player that would get us over the hump, because I feel like we were over the hump, you know, and I think it's just the circumstances that happened wasn't really meant for us to do it, unfortunately. It seems like I'm not going to say we got cheated, but, I mean, come on. We were the champs. We're the champs. I mean, we're the champs.
I've said that on multiple occasions. So your answer is safe with me. So how about favorite Spokane restaurant? If you were to come back to Spokane tomorrow, where would the first restaurant you had to be?
Milford's. I don't even think Milford's exists anymore.
It doesn't?
But Milford. Exactly, man. Milford's was big. Woo! Milford's was cracking, man.
So let me guess. Recruiting visit, you were offering coaching staff like, hey, I want to be the host because you knew you were going to go to Milford's that weekend?
I didn't even get to pick, man, but I knew it was either, you know, Milford's. Somehow I got almost every recruit, you know. So, but it was either Milford's, like Anthony's. Where else was there? Shogun, Churchill's. Like it was good food every time on the group visits, and I'm, you know, not only for that the food, but just to be a part, you know, of telling the young guys what to expect, you know. So I love being the host, man.
Well, they're having the point guard set the table for the recruits, not just the current players. So that's a good sign. That might mean you could transition well into coaching. Couple last questions. I know over the last few years, Gonzaga's kind of focus on style off the court has become a big thing. The hair started with me, with Roney, with Adam Morrison. You guys have continued that trend. Obviously, I see you have it going now. You guys seem to have these little Twitter battles and Instagram wars on who the best dressed player is. Let me give you the chance to set the record straight.
Man, it probably have to be a toss-up between, you know, Nigel and Jeremy for me. You know, them guys, their closet's elite, you know, because they, you know, they're not afraid to try different things. You know what I'm saying? You see Jeremy come in with patterned sweats. You see Nigel with baggy jeans, or, you know what I'm saying, a designer T-shirt with some shoes and some high-top Chucks or something. Like, it's just those guys are so confident in themselves that they'll try anything as far as the closet. So I think, you know, Jeremy and Nigel, swag champ. Dan, you still there?
Yeah.
Are the swag champs for GU.
Well, I'll definitely stay away from those competitions, and I'll just keep the long hair that kind of goes as one of my calling cards right there. But before I let you go, give me what Josh Perkins hopes to be doing in 10 years. Do you see yourself extending your career 10 years-ish in Europe, or coming back and having an opportunity in the G League and maybe making an NBA roster? Or what does the future hold in your eyes?
I honestly think, you know, I want to say I'll be in the NBA at some point. But I'm going to play as long as I can, man. I think I have the kind of game that, you know, translates. I don't really need to be athletic. You know, I'm a crafty guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't really need to jump that high. And I think, so thankfully for that, I could play, you know, this game for a while. But, you know, my dream is to be in the NBA. It was close there, you know, but some things happened, got hurt. So my goal is to always get there. So I'm going to keep doing what I have to get back there, man. What better to be, you know, play basketball, do what you love, but you can also be close to your fam, you know. So 10 years from now, man, hopefully I'm in the NBA. I'll say I will be in the NBA. So I'm speaking into existence.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I always appreciate and like about growth in players during their time at Gonzaga, the belief in themselves and learning that they're going to be obstacles. You just got to keep fighting, Josh. I wish you nothing but the best, because I do know you've got the shooting ability. You've got the ability to get others involved as a point guard that a lot of NBA teams use. And many times for guys, it just comes down to opportunity and timing. And I wish you enough luck. Thanks for joining. Stay healthy and have a great year in Poland.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on here.